Alright, so I'm sure you guys were aware that IGN put out a gear video, and I wanted to talk about that today because there's a bunch of legit stuff that we can kind of fill in with. Second thing, I just remembered, I turned up my mic a bit because all you guys were mentioning how quiet it was, so I'm listening. There's a little bit of evidence there. Anywho, so we're going to be doing some votes today, and we've actually already prepped the MooBot, so it'll be ready. And we're going to be talking about certain segments very similarly to how we talked about the other segments in the last couple streams. So let's go ahead and put the vote screen up in front of us. Woo, pretty, eh? So you guys can see that we have sword, dagger, armor, cloak, wraith, and general. And we're going to open the poll right now. Bam, poll is now opened. So remember how to do this. It is exclamation mark, vote, and then whatever the subject is. Immediately had to breathe. Vote Mike's beard.
Versus Jared's beard. They could be locked together like Velcro by the end.
That sounds like a romantic, like Tally and Celebrimbor moment, really.
Bound together in hair.
Ah, bound together for love and forever. So we can see right now that Wraith is currently winning in the most popular. Mark is our mix master today. Mark, could you please bring us back on screen, actually? Thank you. What's up, for guys? So go ahead and put up, I also want to see the notes and the percentages, which you can see if you hover over on MooBot. Back on. Yeah, there we go. Wraith, 30%. That's the word I wanted to share with you guys. Go ahead and hit refresh again for us, too, because I want to see what the change has been. Wraith is still winning at 37%. I'm going to give you guys another 10 seconds, and then I imagine it'll probably still be Wraith. Aw, vote Jared. Just as a reminder for all you guys doing joke votes, if you do, you can change your vote, so you don't have to worry about the fact that if you did a joke vote, you can then go back to a normal vote, and then it will record that. So, just so you guys are aware, with whoever voted Aslar, whoever voted Hood, Jared, Mike's beard. You guys are a joy. I love hanging out with y'all. So it looks like it's gonna be Wraith. Edgy. Jordan's, that's an awesome way to do that. So, we're gonna talk about Wraith. I'm gonna make sure to flip over my notes to stay right on topic, but let's go and talk a little about Wraith. So you can see behind us right now, this is two separate rings. Wraith is a mix of rings as well as the bow that we'll be discussing a bit today. And I wanted to give you guys an opportunity, which, Mark, if you may remove us off screen too, that would be the HD cam. You can see that, but right behind us, now we're invisible, woo! You can see two different rings that are both legendaries. You can see what they have, like on the Arcane Rune, there's the Dominated Orc from the Mystic Tribe to unlock it. You can see from, like, once you dominate it and do this, now you have the ability to summon followers, cool down by 10 seconds. So, in general, go ahead and pop us back in. Thank you. Woo. So, I have questions for you.
Excellent.
Yes,
I know.
Here
for something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're not here just to look pretty.
Oh.
I mean, it's true. So, anywho, good sir, we were talking a little bit about like the ring abilities just now. What kind of things would you see in a ring specifically? Like, what kind of abilities and traits from like an epic versus a legendary?
So the ring is what connects you to the Wraith world. So it's like what we see when Frodo puts it on or Bilbo puts it on. It's the ability to slip into that world.
Something more comfortable.
Indeed. Steady, Jared. Sorry, you've frazzled me.
I'm sorry.
You're throwing me.
Wraith world, like
back
when
to the
Frodo
ring.
put on the ring.
Yes, Frodo, Sam, and so what it does is we have the ability to manipulate time, to slow down time, move faster,
Right.
and using our focus. So one of the core stats that's on the ring is focus. So that enables you to slow time more, to use the bow. But focus is now used for other skills as well. So it can use we can use it for the shadow dash. We can also use focus for the multi-kills, so the multi-stealth takedown, the multi-execution. So the more you upgrade the ring, the more powerful that gets. The more you can dash around the battlefield, the more you can slow time.
Gotcha.
It's also what's used for your stealth sprint. So now when you click the sticks, if you want to cover distance quickly. So focus has a whole bunch of different uses that let you speed up, manipulate the world, control your enemies, do multi-takedowns, all of that stuff. And then we put other traits and upgrades and unique stats on the ring that do things like increase the power of your followers, increase the power of your bodyguards, buff them, make you more terrifying to enemies. Like there's dozens and dozens of different traits and upgrades and stats.
Awesome. So in an example of some of these things that would go on the ring, would certain abilities on the ring be excluded from like a sword? Like, will a ring get special things added to it over like what a sword would have?
Yes, yeah. Every single one of the gear categories has its own set of different traits, and then they can be, of course, complementary with each other. So you might have, for example, a sword that gives you sword that on your quick throw gives you a chance on a critical hit to set someone on fire.
Yeah.
But then on the ring, you might have a chance to terrify people when they're on fire. So now you're setting guys on fire, other guys are getting terrified, they're fleeing. So all of these things can have synergies with each other to enable you to do lots of different builds, lots of different strategies.
Right.
And then they can interact with all of the different skills and abilities you can have too.
Oh, that's awesome. So if in the case of this particular ring, you mentioned the multi-kill as one of the things that was there. So if I wanted to be a focus on a focus build, trying to just maximize how much focus I have, the ring would be one of the most important tools in my arsenal then.
Yeah, upping that core stat of your focus, and then picking the skills that go best with that, such as the dash, or such as the chain execution, or the chain takedown. So there would be complementary skills that would go with that.
That's awesome.
Which is something we didn't have at all last time, was really that ability to customize different skill sets, different gear sets. I think we're going to talk later about the legendary gear as well. So there's so much more. I mean, basically, it's much more of an RPG.
That's awesome. Love RPGs. It's very cool to see that. I really liked Professor Grimm's comment, which was focus on focus so you can focus while you focus. Agreed.
Yeah, he's found the focus.
Indeed. So normally at this point, we'd actually jump into a little bit of questions on the ring. But before we do that, I wanted to take the opportunity, because we actually have a bow image that we can pop up behind us too, to sort of discuss. Beautiful bow behind us. So now we have, and you can see in the 274 damage, that's the range damage. So what's sort of the base bow changes that you would get?
So there's, sort of the big one in the ranged category is that we have the choice between multiple weapons.
Right.
So you could equip a bow, but you can also equip the hammer as a ranged weapon as well.
Right.
So it's shorter range, but it's more explosive effect. You know, it's area of effect and bigger groups. I mean, in gameplay terms, it's a bit more of a shotgun.
Right.
But so range is going to give you vary things like your rate of fire, the damage that you can do, and then also, as you get sort of rare and epic and legendary bows, you're going to get different effects on the impacts of that as well. So whether it's piercing damage or whether it's a chance to set things on fire. And plus, it's not only enemies you can target, you can also target all of the combat opportunities in the environment. So you can detonate fires and blow up barrels and drop the fly nests and release cages with the growls on them, and shadow strike to different enemies, shadow mount onto different enemies. So ranged gives you a really big portfolio of different options.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so you have basically you could find players who might actually be switching out between like a bow and hammer depending on the requirement of a certain captain or style of play. Exactly.
So if you're hunting a particular enemy and he has, whether it's a weakness to headshots or to being pinned, then the accuracy of the bow or the longbow is going to be a good choice. If you've got a commander and he's going to be surrounded by gangs of guys and hordes and it's more about crowd control, you might want to switch to the hammer and sort of take those guys out and then focus on him with melee. I think what we've, just really always about choices and always trying as much as possible to make every fight, every nemesis enemy unique.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so with that, now we do open up a little bit with a Q&A for some of you questions. I'm going to start with a question. You had, never mind.
I am not the bright lord. Can you switch out the bow for the hammer in the middle of a fight? Yes. Yeah, you can.
You can.
Yep.
It's but it's not through, it's not like a quick button switch.
No, it's not. It is through the gear, through the inventory. Yeah.
So it's something that you can do, but it isn't necessarily something where you'll be shooting someone with a bow and then quick switch to a hammer and then back to the bow kind of thing.
That's a good idea, though. I'm writing that down.
Jared's idea. Switch.
Clearly my idea.
I got from Undying 4N42K1. Does hammer throw cost elf shot?
Yes. So it's still takes your ammunition as well.
Okay.
But it's a good question, because that's one of the key stats on every one of your ranged weapons is how much ammo is on that weapon, how many elf shot does it have. Bows generally have more, although some of the more powerful, more sniper-like longbows will have less.
Right.
But the hammers will generally have less, but be more powerful. Hang on, sorry, I just got to write that down.
You're actually going to write it down?
I am writing that down.
Makes
The
me
quick
feel
swap
special.
is good in our...
Okay, well, that makes me feel very special.
You are very special.
Well, thank
You're
you.
a very special
I'm a little flustered, actually. I'm just like, I feel cool. Anyway, so let me go ahead and look at some of the questions to go through. So we had from Snowskeeper, so lower ammo equals greater power. Good to know. So in general, that does follow suit, but I'd imagine that it actually somewhat depends on what you find, because some things will actually be a little bit better than others, depending on rarity, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so there's levels, and then there's rarity,
Right.
And then there's epic. And the epic ones have the additional step that there'll be a challenge associated with them to unlock their more powerful properties, which might be, I don't know, shooting someone in the head while they're on fire or whatever. But then you'll unlock that additional ability to, for example, do more damage from fire. And then there's legendary ones which have additional properties that come when you're equipping the full set.
Ooh, dude. Which, so you guys know, we'll talk about that if you vote for general. Just so you guys are aware, we'll talk about the legendary stuff in that one. So I half expect it all to be general now next. But let's see. So from Cool Kid 4242, could there be an Olog Archer?
They don't have archers, but they do have ranged weapons in some case. So the big cannon that we saw the Dragonborn in our original kind of walkthrough, those cannons can also be equipped with other types of ammunition. So there's a harpoon version and so on as well.
Right. Immediately I thought...
But the arrow would be a bit like... You know,
that was my question. It was like
their big fingers. Yeah.
It's just he bends it back and you see the bow just bend forward over too much. Like, too bad.
But they do have ranged weapons, and plus the Ologs can throw mallets as well.
Oh,
so the same way the orcs have throwing axes, the Ologs have hammers.
That's fantastic. Gotcha. Okay. I see another question, which is how many ranks of gear are there? From Agent Johnson.
There's as many levels of gear as you have. So there's 60 levels.
Right.
But then visually, and in terms of the stats, there's different tiers of what they look like, so they visually upgrade as well.
Right.
And so there's 4 visual levels and 60 levels to the stats and traits and so on.
That's awesome. So every single gear has 4 visual levels to it.
Yes.
I did not know. That's awesome.
Of all of the so basically all of the different sets we have of the Elven and the Dwarven and the Rohan and the Ranger and the Gondorian, the Numenorian. So every one of those visual variants has that.
Right.
And then they have tints as well. So they have color variants as well. So there's I don't know what the number is, but it's a big number of variation in the gear. And you can mix and match that. So you can have the Numenorian cloak and the Rohan armor and the
that's awesome.
Match that too.
So I saw a question, which we're going to catch about 2 or 3 more questions. So we're going to start opening up the MooBot again. Not yet, but we're going to take a couple questions while we prepare that for y'all. So I saw a question, which I missed the name, which was, are rings part of sets?
What we do, because the new ring is obviously a pretty big deal.
Right.
And so we're not kind of knocking out new rings willy-nilly. But what you can do, so what you're actually collecting and what Celebrimbor is forging and smithing onto the ring is different runes onto the ring. So what you're finding, so you've got the same ring, but what you're picking up through the gear system is different ways to customize that ring. Right. So all of the leveling up and all of the customization, all of the statistical elements that go into the other gear also apply to the ring. It's just done through a different way. And there is more than one ring of power you get to use.
Ooh, interesting. So there's more within our game too.
Yes.
In fact, I need to finish the game. I keep there's so much to do in it. I'm still enjoying around in the first areas. So okay, we're gonna open up the MooBot poll. So go ahead and jump it over to people to see what's available. Now you guys voted on Wraith last, so we're gonna cut Wraith off the screen real quick, so that you guys, I believe you guys will be aware. But
Shadow of War is best. Can you put poison on the bow? Yes. So what we have is the top button, the RB, which lets you do your mighty shot, which you can do poison or fire
Right.
or curse.
And
So
with
I
that,
just snuck that in there. So.
oh yeah, please do. That one can also apply to if you have a hammer to throw.
Yes.
Oh, cool. So you can have like a mighty shot of hammer. Oh, I like that. Let's see. General, it's definitely... I wonder if I influenced that by saying...
General, yep.
So go ahead and put us back on screen too, if so people can see our smiling faces. Though it's now going to show us as little people again. So go ahead and jump to hosts, I think would be a good one. Cool, good sir. Thank you. Now we got Shadow of War behind us again.
Cool.
So I'm going to see if I can catch a question as we go. I meant exclamation mark vote cloak. If you guys chose the wrong one, just do the new thing. And whatever it is, and it'll remember it. So for those who said vote to plotter or vote gotcha, or Aslar DSC, which I want to make a note. Aslar is the mispronunciation of Aslar. It's Aslar. It's a little Zlar.
I don't think orcs and ologs are actually that pedantic about pronunciation.
Well,
So, as an Australian, I think they're pretty loose on it.
I guess I could imagine that.
They're not. There's no grammar Nazis in Mordor.
I mean, grammar orcs would be hilarious.
Yeah, there should be one. So when I say
Actually, now
there's
that we
none, there
think-
is one. Yeah.
That's another fun one.
Yep.
We actually, there we go. We just suddenly disappeared off the thing. So let's go ahead and refresh one more time so that we can see what one is winning. It's general. Okay, we'll close out that poll, and then we'll talk about general in a second. All right, this is honestly the one that I'm kind of most excited about because there is so many little hidden things related to general that is kind of specifically the legendary gear. Because I've played a little bit with legendary gear and was like just mind blown. But before we get into that, I'm geeking out a little too early. So what we have behind us is two of the exact same dagger. You have the Rohirrim dagger at level 51 and level 1. And right now, these numbers might look... The point is to show that there's a difference between these two numbers. This isn't exactly how it's going to look, 50 levels difference. This is just for right here because it's alpha. Or we're balancing it out now, more or less. So anyway, you can see that there's a difference in numbers depending on which one you got. The thing that I want to talk about here is what happens if you were to get like a common item at level 20. Would that item be better than something at level 15 that's an epic?
Yeah. It's actually a bug in this.
Oh, it's a bug?
So just see how big those numbers are.
Yeah.
Like the principle, everything you're asking makes sense.
Okay.
But 855 and 767 are kind of way too high for a level 1. So if we just ignore that for a second, but the general question totally makes sense. So there's two things. You could have, for example, the one on the left has got better base stats, but it doesn't have the additional attribute that you can unlock, which is stealth damage against enemies who are on fire and the applying freeze on. Oh, they do both have that. So there's different ways to mix and match. So there's the core stats and then there's the different traits. But the other thing you can do, if you've got a piece of gear you really love and you don't want to just forget about that, you can also spend Mirian to upgrade those.
Ooh.
So you can make the gear keep pace with you as you go through the game as well. Although it'll get progressively more expensive. So generally you're going to be finding new gear, but the stuff that you really value, you can upgrade and keep that with you.
And this exists for non-legendary gear as well?
Yes, although it's limited, the legendary stuff really does keep pace and go through the different tiers right through the game. The other challenge with the legendary gear, sometimes the things you're going to need to do in order to fully maximize its potential are going to be challenges against very high level orcs. So once you pick up one of those pieces, you've really got, I guess, the sort of the meta game of crafting and upgrading that stuff right throughout the whole campaign and beyond.
Gotcha. That's fantastic. Okay, so to kind of, because this is, for me, the leveling up of the gear is if you find an epic that you're just particularly connected to, you really enjoy, this would be the opportunity to sort of maintain it through the game until you found something similar to that epic closer to your level.
Yep. Or to have multiple pieces, so you're actually swapping out different kits depending on the particular situation. You might have, one set you like for fort assaults, or another for a particularly tough enemy, or one that's great for taking down dragons, or whichever. So you can actually have, different loadouts.
Oh, that's fantastic. Gotcha. Okay. So I guess alongside that, as I look through, let's talk a little bit more about the legendary armor and sort of what it looks like when you have a higher leveled up armor. What'll show up behind me or behind us in a second is we'll have a piece of armor, which let's pop over to 518 on the video, and that that will be an opportunity, and I'll chat as we get to that. But the idea is that we will be able to have armor that, specifically with this legendary one, upgrade over time. Specifically the level 4 Bright Lord motion compare. Go ahead and hit transition on that one. Thank you. So you guys can see that in this little moving, and you'll have the comparison between a level 1 Bright Lord armor, specifically legendary Bright Lord armor, and level 4 Bright Lord armor. What are what's an example of some of the changes that one would see?
So the materials, there's more gold on it. It's more detail. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's really so for everyone to know. We're also seeing it very small.
Yeah.
Like we're not only shrunk, but everything else is for us too.
But it's the detail, it's the materials, it's how elaborate it is. So it's really just trying to give a strong visual progression as it becomes more powerful and as you advance through the game as well.
And so we're having this
ornamented. Thank you, Greg. That's the word I lost.
You.
It's very tiring at this point in the project. My brain is turning to mush.
Let's see. I like this question from Remy Groen. I think that I should get to play right now for testing. Testing, that kind of thing. Thank you for offering for us. I'm sure that is a win-win.
We are doing a ton of testing.
We are doing a ton of testing. It's we have talked about putting up links in order to allow people to have the opportunity to test with Warner Brothers. I mean, you can't
to apply for that, sure.
Yeah, I mean, so that's actually something that if we see a big, all of a sudden, stream of people being like, "Oh my God, I'm so interested," then yeah, we can absolutely start pushing for that. One thing related to, so you guys know, that it's not going to guarantee Shadow of War testing. It's you sign up for Warner Brothers, and then that kind of stuff happens, and then someone will say, "Oh, actually, I don't know if they're like." For an example, I don't know if there's a new Arkham game out right now, but it's like, for example, if there was something Arkham related or Batman related, or if there was something Lego related, that would be the stuff you would be contacted for. All right, I'm seeing a ton of yeses and yeses. All right, so the way that we'll do this is, I think I'll do a forum post within the community.wbgames, and it will have a link that will talk about the ability to apply for testing. And I'll let the tester, the people in charge of that kind of thing know, because I'm sure there's just going to be this flood now of attention on it. All right. Let's see.
I'm going to do testing next week. That's my week next week.
Oh, that's going to be fun. All right, let's see. So we've talked about the legendary weapons. We've moved through there.
That's a good question.
Oh, you want to hit that question?
Yes. Hi, I'm Sailor. What's the symbol next to the ring? That's just the connection to the various legendary sets. So it's where you can go in there, you can see what's your progress towards collecting those.
Right. And actually, related to this, could we go to minute 4:51 for us, please? That will be, because I want to have the opportunity to talk about gems, because there was gems that were discussed last stream, 4:51. There we go. No worries. You're perfect right there. So, on this one, now, we had a question, which was, let's talk about the currencies above us a little bit. And we'll talk about the silver one, Mirian, right now.
Right.
And the gold one is, should we talk a little bit about it, actually?
We're probably going to talk about it more later, but basically, we can...
Okay. Oh, I was just going to remind people that this was related to some of the... you had said in the last stream where you're like, hey, there are going to be some microtransactions, but nothing's locked out of the game. That's related to that, specifically. And once again, though, the full game is available without having that.
Absolutely. There's nothing, no content whatsoever.
Right.
Yep.
So at the moment, we're not going to talk too much about it because we'll talk more later. But let's talk about the silver one, the Mirian, the 746 specifically. So you have the capability to crush weapons in order to get more Mirian.
Yep.
So what would be the reason why a player would be doing that?
So you can get Mirian in a number of ways. There's pickups within the world.
Right.
There's messenger orcs in the world, treasure orcs you can take down to get Mirian. You can, obviously, when you kill orcs, you can pick up gear and you can crush that down. And there's a lot of different things you can do with that. You can use it, as we said, you can upgrade the levels of your gear with it. So that uses Mirian. You can unlock the slots in your gear to put the gems in.
Right.
You can then... Slotting the gems doesn't cost, but you can fuse the gems together, multiple gems.
Right.
And they're, pretty classic RPG gems in the sense that you can choose, there's different categories and colors of gems. You can choose what to slot them in. Depending on what to slot them in, you'll get different advantages. So, for example, the red gems are going to do more damage if they're in the weapon. If they're in armor, they're not going to give you as big a buff on the attacks of that specific weapon, but they'll give you across everything.
Right.
So you get a lower bonus across your bow and your stealth and your melee.
Right.
So it's more of a general bonus.
So it's that kind of situation where if you had a really, because as you can see, there's multiple tiers of gems.
Yep.
So if you wanted to kind of, let's say you were at the 3rd tier of gem and you were like, okay, I want the 10% on everything, so I think that's more beneficial than, I guess, like whatever the percentage, 20% or what it would be on one weapon.
Yeah, if you really wanted to double down and maximize your stealth kills,
right?
You know, you're going to hit this guy. He's vulnerable to stealth. You'd stack all of that onto your dagger,
right,
and go in and bang and maximize how much damage you were doing with that specific weapon.
Right.
And then if you put them on the rune, which is basically what you're inscribing on the rings, then your followers are going to get that benefit. So that could be a huge bonus if you're going and assaulting a fortress,
right,
and you've got all of your army with you and all of those war leaders with you. That could be the right way to go. So you can swap those out for different strategies. But then the other thing you can use the Mirian for is as you're conquering fortresses, Mirian's the currency that you can use to upgrade your fortresses.
Right.
So increase the number of garrisons, the number of war chiefs you can have defending the fort, and also to purchase all of the different siege upgrades that you can have with a fortress. So the artillery or the boiling oil or iron gates or traps or all sorts of things. So there's a ton of stuff to spend that on.
Okay. So you have the ability to use Mirian to be upgrading your weapons and armor to open up slots for gems.
Yep.
As well as to pay for assault, like
siege upgrades for your fortress.
Yeah.
Yep.
As well as for defense for your fortress too.
Yes.
There you go. So that's kind of the economy that exists. All right. I see a question from a couple people. So I just saw from Undying and one other person, which is, can gems be removed and reslotted into other places?
You can overwrite them, but you can't remove them.
Okay. So it's once you plop it in somewhere, it's in there.
Actually, the other thing you can do, if you destroy the item, that'll release the gem.
Ah, interesting. So it's, you put the gem in, destroy the item, and then you get that gem. So you can, as you guys can see in the upgrade gem situation, you have the 3 of the same gem, and that creates the next level gem. So if you had 3 weapons that had that gem, you could just combine them and make that happen. Ah, okay. Cool. So it's actually a question from MetaWing22. Can we craft gems? Sorta. You combine the gems together like that.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so we have gems, we have that bit. I'm now trying to make sure that we're on. I think that more or less covers everything. So we'll start taking questions before we jump into the next vote. Let's see. Oh, we have a question from... Oh, I saw another question that I want to talk about, but Ben wrote one. How much Mirian is gained from conquering a fort if Mirian is gained from conquering a fort?
Oh, that's a good question. That would vary depending on the strength and level of the fortress.
Okay.
And also how much, could depend on what was the tribe of the overlord. So Marauder tribe can grant you more. So plenty, a lot.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Very cool. So with that, what about, I saw another question which was about the armor, which is, does armor have durability?
No.
No.
Doesn't wear out, doesn't take damage.
Perfect armor, and I assume that's with weapons as well.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, Celebrimbor is the greatest smith in Middle-earth, so he's got that covered.
Perfect. Okay, so as a reminder to a couple of questions that I'm seeing that are going through, we're going to be talking specifically on the general questions right now that are what we just talked about, as opposed to general questions about the game. At the end of the stream, we'll have a little time for that. Let's see. Is there a way to hunt gems so you have an idea where to go for a gem you might need for a set?
Yes. So rare beasts in particular will drop gems. So if you want to take, if you take down a drake or you take down a rare caragor, or you take down one of the rare Graugs, they're a really good place to go for gems. And the treasure orcs also have a good chance of dropping gems as well.
Right. So would that be something where if you put like a feral overlord into, so the feral tribe is, and then that would
then you'd have an increased chance of seeing rare beasts. So yeah, that would be a good way for you to literally farm that.
There you go, literal farming. Yep. Very cool. All right, let's see. Let's take 2 more questions. And while we're talking about... Actually, hold on. I want to take the 2 questions first, and then we'll open up the voting. Let's see. Can you fuse the different gems together from each part, like green with red and white? And then I'm going to find the next one, which is... Okay, I know my 2 questions now. We'll open the votes now, and so it'll be available. But it's just you guys rush through it. It's always so hard to keep track. But votes are now open again. We'll transition to the voting page real quick. And we'll cut General out of here too. And it's, go ahead and jump to the vote stream. Perfect, thank you. So, as we'll go, we had the two, which was, can you combine colors of gems together?
You can't.
Okay, so if I wanted a red gem to be with a white gem, it wouldn't mix the two.
You would not get a pink gem.
But pink's a beautiful color.
It is.
Then, what about, could you send out Uruk grunts, like workers, in fact, to farm gems for you?
Not directly, so they wouldn't go straight into your inventory. I mean, what you could do is send one of your followers on a mission like a hunt,
right?
And then go and track him on that mission, which would be a good way to then, take down a Graug, for example, to get gems.
So it would be the idea of, if go ahead and put us up back on screen on hosts, please, so we can be seen, so we can wave. Hi, everybody. So the idea would be, if I wanted to make a Graug show up or something, or a legendary creature, I would tell one of my orc captains to go and do a hunt. And then if I let him do his hunt and didn't be involved, would that allow me to collect that gem at the end, or would I have to be involved?
You would have to be involved.
Okay. So instead of the kind of like the passive workers collection, you have to be more involved in it.
Yep.
Okay, cool. A little less RTS kind of thing?
The thing you can do passively is send your followers out to either try and kill enemies or to try and kill each other. And what that will result in is them, if they survive, is them growing in power and becoming more powerful.
Very cool. Gotcha. Okay. There we go. So that was that mix. Let's check out who is currently winning as far as the votes go.
That's going to answer Thranduil the Fair's question, because it's come up a few times. Is Kirith Ungol a fortress? Yes, it is. Yep,
let's see.
Kirith Ungol.
So let's see. Cloak, 41%. So just as a heads up, we just got a ping from Moobot saying that they might be doing some server maintenance in a little bit. So if that happens, we're just going to start flipping a coin to decide what next we're going to be focusing on for votes. I'm sorry.
I thought Moobot was just your pet name for Mark.
Oh, Moobot. That's a cute name, actually, now that I think about it.
Like a cow you can milk.
Well,
a robot cow.
I was just like, but a cow you can't milk.
Exactly.
It's like a cow.
Like
that's
Mark.
Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly. That was my point.
So it looks like Cloak is the one. So let's go ahead and put up a Cloak behind us. So interestingly, this is actually the most, out of all the stuff that we were going to talk about today, this is the most, easy to kind of explain behind us, which is, and Mark, if you could show us the screen real quick. Thank you. I wanted so that Mike could see. These are the Ranger one, which is on the left side of the screen, and the Numenorian cloak, which is right above me. And I wanted to take this opportunity because look at how different they are. We read a little bit of article from Phil talking about the inspirations behind it, but what are your impressions on the inspirations behind?
I think the cloaks are really interesting,
right?
Because a lot of the time, especially as you're running around any third-person action game, you're spending a lot of time actually looking at that.
Yeah.
So the materials of it, the fact that we can have different tints, that we can change the different materials is really cool. The fact that they can mix and match, of course.
Right.
The personal favorite one is going to be the hoods. So that's when you can really, start looking really ominous and
hoods were just going by.
Yeah, hoods are cool.
Cool. So is that something where, depending on what cloak you're wearing, you'll have the hood up, or is it on the back?
It would be part of the attributes of the cloak and the particular outfit you're wearing. Actually, some of the cloaks even come with other helmets and headgear as well at the higher levels. It's pretty
that's
cool.
Awesome. Gotcha. So now on a personal question, and this was one that Mark and I were discussing, what makes it a cape versus a cloak?
We actually had this very discussion just yesterday. So they're cloaks.
Okay.
So we did a search of Lord of the Rings, the entire text.
Yeah.
The word cape, for example, only shows up 2 times, and it's always in reference to bodies of water. And cloak shows up 129 times, so every 4 pages. So cloaks.
There you go.
So yeah,
thank you.
Cloaks.
That was. I'm seeing Mark in the background going, yes. I was like, yeah, we had that discussion.
Yeah, so it's all cloaks.
Thank you. Oh man, there was a question that I thought was funny, but I missed it. Phil Straub is the art director.
He is.
That was the
director
question.
of art.
Director of art. That was yes, director of art. Very specific.
Director of art directors. If there's an art director, he's directing them.
Perfect. So that was who that is. I saw the question, who is Phil pop up? I'm like, important guy.
Yep.
So anyway, let's see. let's move on to some more of discussion on what a cloak would get as far as its various abilities and things. You can see on the far left, we have a cloak, one that has lists the various things. Now, specifically, you increase stealth as the main stat of cloak.
Yep.
What is stealth?
Stealth is the ability of enemies to be able to detect you.
Okay.
So the higher your stealth rating is, the less noisy you're going to be, the harder time they're going to have to see you, the slower they're going to react to seeing you. So basically, the higher your stealth is, the easier it is for you to sneak around, not get detected, not trigger alarms. So more stealth is a good thing.
Interesting. So if I wanted to like focus on being a stealth build, I'm seeing someone say it says cape.
It does. Well spotted. Yeah, we've changed it. So this is like a week old.
Bright
That's
Lord's
the essence.
cape. It says Bright Lord's cape.
And it says alpha as well. So that's you are seeing game development in action. We changed that between that IGN video and now. We fixed that, and it's cloak.
Belsnickel, some other name with an E that I well spotted. But it says cape.
Yep.
Anyway,
we fixed it.
We fixed it. Alpha. That's fantastic. Now I'm off subject. So stealth. If I wanted to be like a stealth build, would that be so? Let's say, for example, I was trying to, or I guess, because in Shadow of Mordor, when you were stealth, we more had like I know when they'll be able to see me. I know when they won't. Do you have an example for like better stealth versus worse stealth gameplay experience?
Yeah, it's well. I mean, one of the things that we have now is because the scale of the world is bigger and because the number of characters we can have there at once is bigger. Like Fort Battles, we've got literally hundreds of characters on screen at once. But even if you're in an outpost or you're in a fortress, there's just so many more enemies. You know, there's so many archers, so many enemies. These places are so densely occupied with enemies. So the fact of being able to make yourself more stealthy enables you to navigate through these really crowded, really heavily populated areas and still actually, not trigger the alarm or get where you want to go.
Right.
And then the other thing I personally really love is that when you are in stealth, you can summon either your mount, which could be a Caragor or a Graug or whatever, or you can summon in your bodyguards and your followers, and then from stealth you can command them to kill enemies as well. So
that one
exactly. So yeah, you can sneak in, get in position, look at the lay of the land, and just send your Caragor in to take down that guy, send your follower in to take down that guy.
Cool. So this, cool. That's actually an interesting point because we were talking about builds and playstyle. If you prefer to be more of a commander style, you would wear things that would potentially support your followers in that regard.
And even going back, sort of bringing together some of the different things we've been talking about, you'd go for the white gems, which are going to buff your followers. You'd focus around sort of the epic versions of the rune for the ring, which are going to help your followers, around the dagger, which is going to help stealth. So there's just a huge, the deeper you get into the game, just more and more and more it expands in what the possibilities of how you can approach every situation.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so in that kind of mindset, what kind of traits would we see on it? I mean, we have right now up a couple examples, but what other ones would we see?
For
cloak. Cloak, it says cape. Cloak.
Cloak can affect things like, there's all sorts of things. Can be reaction times to discovering you, can be fear reactions, can be speed as well. So, some mobility things.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you could actually have a physical speed boost, like in just default running. Oh, that's very cool. So you can actually, someone could almost focus on being the speediest person that they could be.
We already do a lot just to make you, with the stealth sprint and with the double jump, like we've expanded the mobility so much over Shadow of Mordor.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Now we have a question from Shadow Savage 666, which we already talked about the hoods thing, but I guess the best way to put it would be, do cloaks also have hooded variants, almost like a back and forth?
It's something that's basically built into the style of the cloak. So the Black Numenorian would be hooded. The Gondorian, as you go up, it's more armored and stuff. So it's actually, so there's not a hooded or non-hooded version of a particular cape or cloak. Shh, put a penny in.
Exactly.
but there are the different types, different styles.
Right. Okay. So it's you would if you found a cloak with a hood, that one was a hood.
Yes.
Or maybe develop into something head related, but it's not like you would find that version with an actual
right,
hood on top.
And then they could have the different tints within
Right.
each one of those styles as well. So you've still got a lot of flexibility there.
Cool. All right. Let's see if we have to make sure that I followed on that. All right. So let's actually take a couple questions. I see from Jay Shadow was saying he's giving up asking questions. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. We just got to the question section of the subject, so that's unfortunate. Let's see. Questions here. I'm looking through. So remember, we're specifically talking about cloaks now. So when you guys are asking about Uruk healths and stuff like that, I'm going to be looking for a cloak question. Can I have a purple cloak? Oh, I can't believe I can't say that word now. Can I have a purple cloak from Martignon?
I haven't actually checked exactly the sort of color sets we've got. I mean, we don't go crazy on the colors. We do, and going back to Phil and sort of the art direction and keeping the game coherent, we do try and make them sort of shades that would be plausible within the world. But we might have purple.
Okay.
Because I mean, people,
it's a very royal
like
color.
Purple. Yeah, very royal.
I guess in that regard, I saw a question. Can you like choose the color yourself, like a dye?
We don't have dyes.
Okay.
We have you actually discovering the different colors and mixing and matching.
So similar to that hood thing. It's
Yes.
like, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Can you get a cloak that's similar to the Lothlorien ones? Yes. So yes, that's the Elven. Yeah, that's part of the Elven set. So yes.
Mark off camera verbally says yes in excitement on that.
Exploded.
That's funny.
New milk.
Let's see. Will we still have the same cloak from some skin? Asked Night Reaver. So I think the question that you're going for is like, are there skins related to like different as there was in the last game? Is that what you're trying to go for? Maybe. I'm not sure. Do you want to answer that version of that question?
Which version? So
which would be, do we have skins as we did similarly to last game?
Not originally. So not at launch. But
okay. So yeah,
could be something we could do later, potentially, if people really want them.
Cool. I want to answer this question because it just made me laugh. Agent Johnson, can you strangle someone with your cloak?
Not as such. Talion's usually got a pretty vast array of pointy objects to kind of stick through people. So.
Right, a little faster. Yeah. I saw a question which was, can you like forego a cloak? Can you not have one?
So some of the outfits, like the Gondorian, you know, actually as they upgrade, are more emphasis on different headwear. You can't actually take your cloth. That would be actually a pretty cool idea too.
Right.
Just to have the option to toggle it. The cloak, especially as we're sort of finishing and improving everything and fixing up the bugs and getting all the physics and movement on it working, it does look pretty cool.
Yeah, in fact, I've actually listened to conversations of people saying, like, this is almost the most important thing because you're looking at it the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. So that secondary movement and that flow, it gives you good feedback and.
So your question about if we could not wear one probably made someone cry somewhere. It's all this work.
Working, yeah. And it's a hard problem too, you know, the making it not intersect and not penetrate with things. You know, the fabric, the physics. It's a big...
I mean, it's one of the most difficult. It's like a weird form of water in a way. So I can see that for Tyga Stripe is one of our mods, and he just said keep questions on topic, and I thought he was talking to me for a second. I was like, I'm sorry.
It's a weird form of water. I said yes, but my brain was going, what are you talking about?
Sorry. Anyway, Deathly Howl. Does higher stealth make the detection meter go up slower? So a specific game
awareness, yes.
Cool.
Good question.
There we go. Let's see. This is actually JJB101. I now get your question. He asked, can we have a Batman cloak we can use to glide? So is it a gliding thing?
You can't have a Batman cloak to glide, but you can have a dragon to ride around like Batman. So, you know, pros and cons there.
Pros and cons there.
Yep.
Yeah. Which IP do you prefer? Anyway, let's see. Oh, so from Sure9, can we add emblems? So are cloaks at all customizable?
They're not. They're like particular to the the different culture that they come from. So the Ranger cloaks are going to have the insignia of the Black Gate and so on.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good question. So with that, let's take 2 more questions, and then we'll begin the next votes. Let's see. From Harold the Demolisher, what kind of headpieces are in there?
Well, really, it depends on the different types of the outfit. So the Elven, I'm trying to think. So which ones have headgear? think the Numenorian and the Elven and maybe the Dwarven. So different. Yeah, basically there's helmets, there's headbands, there's the hoods as well, depending on the set.
Okay. And then, actually, let's go ahead and open up the vote. I got one more question that I saw that I particularly liked, which I've seen repeated now. So the vote is now open. We'll transition real quick to the scene of what you guys can vote for. And I'm going to mention the background, which was you have, will there be animal skin pelts, like Graug skin or Karagor skin?
No, we're not skinning those guys, but they are the sort of source to give us the gems. So they do actually, taking down those rare creatures and those powerful creatures does help us upgrade our gear.
So we wouldn't necessarily have a Karagor skin cloak, for example.
We don't. Some of the Feral Tribe guys do, for example. So we do see those sort of things.
Right. Well, that's cool. Let's see. Let's also take the opportunity to check out how the vote's going.
Sorry, that just reminds me of something.
Oh, yeah, go for it. If you need to disappear, it's okay.
No. I'll get to the.
It's actually.
I just noticed the time.
Sword and armor is actually neck and neck. So how about because we have just a couple more to go, we can rush through these ones.
Okay.
If that one works. So I hope to keep Mike on as quickly as we're gonna just shoot through these real quickly. Armor is currently winning, so we're just gonna say armor was selected. Yes, armor is the one, so we're going to close out that poll, and we're going to next talk about armor. And specifically, let's go ahead and have a comparison between two pieces of armor. We're going to be looking at the Ranger and the Numenorian. And once again, this is sort of the opportunity to just sort of have the point out and look at just how cool it is to see the differences between these two.
I love the Numenorian. It's really cool.
I know,
some of the tints on the Numenorian look great.
Ooh, really what's the favorite tint color?
The red.
I like red. Red's a good color. Yep. Very cool. So we have that one behind us, and we'd normally talk a little longer, but let's just jump into the meat of it since we want to make sure you're there. So when you have the opportunity, Mark, go ahead and hop us over to a scene where we have armor behind us that we can talk to. So what is kind of the...
Elven.
That's Elven. Oh, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, we just need armor.
Yep.
So what kind of... or the base stat, actually, for armor is health, but what are some of the other... I mean, that one doesn't need too much of an explanation. But what are some of the traits that one could find on armor?
We've got all sorts of defensive traits, so you can go into basically get different benefits at different levels of health. So, for example, maybe your might's going to gain faster when you're at full health, or maybe you'll do damage when you're at low health. So, depending if you really want to sort of tank and get in there, or you want to be more agile and not get touched, you can really use your armor to customize to your playstyle in that way.
Oh, that's interesting. So to do damage and not get touched, what is that example?
To be damaging enemies but not being hit yourself.
Versus
other things that, as you're getting at lower health, that's going to enable you to sort of fight back and come back, or even maybe, get an extra last chance or whatever. So it's really a way to, again, customize things to your personal playstyle.
Gotcha. What is your favorite armor? Was a question that I just saw. I think that's a good one. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Who's my favorite child? I think basically my favorite armor for the last 2 months has been every new armor set that arrives. I'm like, that one's the best. Oh, the Rohan, that looks amazing. Oh, Black Numenorian, that's amazing. Numenorian, that's amazing. Haradrim, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
I think it's the Numenorian with the tint, because it kind of looks like the House Lannister armor, which is pretty cool.
That's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
You just got me thinking Game of Thrones stuff is fun. I had a favorite armor, but now I'm completely blanking what one that one's called. So I'm just for now going to not mention that one at all because I can't recall it at all. Oh, thank you, Dwarven. That was it.
Dwarven's awesome. Yeah.
That was it from the Mammoth King. Actually, it's Dwarven. Yeah.
It's a bit tight around the. But
honestly, it looked like a Space Marine armor to me. That's the part that I liked about it.
That's cool.
So with that, you guys go ahead and hit us with questions because it's the armor at least. We would dive more into depth with different defensive things, but we want to make sure you're here for as long as possible to kind of hit other things. So please hit us up with some questions related to it. While you guys are catching up in that 15-second gap between me saying that.
Hobbit armor.
Hobbit armor.
Don't have Hobbit.
No, just too small.
Yeah.
I mean, Italian maybe less.
You should have Hobbit skin armor. That would be cool.
Well, then you'd also have to have Karagor and Graug and Orc.
I know.
I mean, indeed. Let's see. Can you transmog an armor set? I don't know what that means.
Oh, basically, can you take the stats from one and kind of apply it to another? So can you?
That's what transmog. Oh,
I think. Pretty sure.
yeah.
Could be wrong.
Answer that question anyway.
But you can't initially.
Oh. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. How many legendary sets of armor are there from Apollo Shade?
There are. There's a set. There's one per tribe, and there's another one that's from a collectible set, and then there's one from the Nazgul, and then so the two other tribes that we're still working on will add more. So, I mean, we're still working on it. We don't have a final number, but I think it's about 9 at launch.
9
legendary
should be
sets.
about 9 legendary.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And I saw this question, which I have to ask, which I loved it, which was, how do you get into dwarven armor? Was the question. It's not small.
Yeah, it's full size. Yeah.
It's dwarven style.
Dwarves made it. Yeah, it wasn't actually off a dwarf. Although we do have one of my favorite Ologs is the dwarf hater. He just hates dwarves, and all of his armor and his skirt, it's all made out of like basically peeled off dwarf beards, dwarf faces, and he's got little bits of like a dwarf helmet that he's just like crammed onto his Olog head, and he's just obsessed. All he talks about is how much he hates dwarves.
There was a person.
Oh, I can't. He should so have a line if you're wearing dwarf armor.
That would be fantastic. Oh man, I can't believe I haven't seen that guy yet. That is hilarious. Write that one down. There was a question that I will, since you're writing that one down, I'll answer real quick, which was, do you craft armor or do you find it? So you get armor by killing a war chief or captain or overlord, and then once they have passed, and dwarf racist. The orc.
Yeah, and he's gonna.
When you take out that. They drop armor, and then you can collect it. It could be a rune for the ring, it could be a new sword, it could be a new bow, it could be a new...
It's a little in between for us. So Celebrimbor, he's a smith, and basically, the more powerful and the different types of enemies that you're defeating, when they're dropping the gear, it's kind of a trophy of that victory. It's not that they were carrying around a piece of this highly crafted dwarf armor. It's that because you've had this victory, Celebrimbor is able to craft this piece, to commemorate that victory. So effectively, you're crafting everything, but it's built around the Nemesis system and built around the orcs and these enemies that you're fighting. And that's why an epic enemy is going to give you an epic piece of armor. And these legendary sets are going to come from legendary enemies. So we're really trying to tie the gear system into the Nemesis system in a way that makes these great stories.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's cool because whenever you actually have an epic piece, you can see the name of the gear, but also the name of the orc that you got that from is immortalized on that piece of armor.
The story of the
so if we had Aslar the Demolisher and you pick that piece up, you're going to have Aslar immortalized there on that piece of gear.
That's awesome. I love that. So if it's like it could have been a terrible nemesis, or it could have been an amazing follower.
Yep.
And then you can remember that you got it from there. Okay. Let's take a question or two here, and then we'll quickly vote for whether sword or dagger, and continue to run through those ones. Let's see. This is interesting from Harold the Demolisher, which was, how do you know what type of armor you will get?
Yep. So you can actually, especially on the epic guys, you can influence, it's a random drop, but you can influence and weight the chance based on how you kill that orc as well. So stealth kill, you're going to have a higher chance of getting a dagger. Shoot him in the head, you're going to have a higher chance of getting a bow. And then also you can also influence the traits that could appear on that piece of gear as well. So burn him to death, and you've got a higher chance of getting a trait that is going to give you more damage against guys who are on fire and so on. So the actual way that you approach them, how you take them down, how you defeat them, what their traits are. If he's someone like the Flame of War, he's going to be more likely to drop flame pieces. So again, all of the we sort of want the gear to be as unique and personal as the orcs are. Right.
Oh, that's cool. Gotcha. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but let's go ahead and open up the next vote. Sword or dagger? I mean, we'll put up the thing for you guys to be able to see, but it's that or that. Also, I know you have time, so
just make sure. Sorry,
What is the drop dead time?
Oh my God!
Is now the drop dead time?
Three.
10
minutes ago.
10 minutes ago. Would you like to pop out?
I'll do one more.
You'll do one
sorry,
more. Okay.
I'm really sorry. I just didn't know. It would be after three.
Don't worry about it. Let's do a quick refresh, and we're gonna just cut it real short because we want to make sure that we can get Mike as long as possible. Let's see. And looks like sword. We're gonna do sword.
Okay.
We're gonna make it that quick. All right. So, talking about sword specifically. The major change with a sword when you have a blade itself is that it's going to be a melee damage change. So is that something that would also, as you guys can see, we have the Numenorian sword right behind me and then the Ranger sword on the left side of the screen. So would that affect your glaive as well?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of go back and forward on these things a bit. I mean, it also, to some extent, affects your dagger in combat because you can use your dagger. You know, sometimes Talion, he's dual wielding, so he'll stab someone with the dagger. If you've got the stats on your sword, will increase all of your melee damage.
Okay.
In the same way that the stats on your dagger will affect all of your stealth damage. And so the glaive, the hold X, charge that up, and your heavy attack to clear guys, that'll also be increased based on your sword as well.
That's awesome. What kind of what other traits would we see on a sword?
Yeah, so to sort of keep it on that thread, you could have traits on your sword that will give the glaive, when you charge it, a greater chance to crit or knock more guys down or things as well as more damage on counters, again, more damage in all sorts of different ways. Yeah.
We can see up right now, we got the Bright Lord sword, and a couple examples of you can gain might, you can get critical hits.
Yeah, Wrath, I saw someone before asking what Wrath is. Wrath is the bar to the right of the mini-map that you fill up to click the sticks and then unleash the sort of Celebrimbor's Elven Rage where you can clear the screen. So.
Now, we got a question from the Reaper33, which is where's Urfael? Or Urfael is how we pronounce the
sword? Oh, yes. Yeah, so all of your base weapons, because they're really important to Talion's sort of character as well. And so you get those at the beginning of the game, and you keep those throughout the game as well. So, you can't actually sell those.
Oh, you can't destroy them.
You can't actually take Durheil's broken blade that you've washed with your tears for the last 10 years and just and cash it in for some Mirian.
That's good to know because every time I was playing, I continued to try to destroy those weapons.
What's wrong with you?
I know it's cold. I'm sorry. Well, I thought I was
been in Mordor a long time. You've turned dark.
I've turned dark. It's I'm like a car. Thank you, son.
Yeah.
This one's nicer. Anyway, so there's that one. Actually, let's kind of move into. Let's talk a little bit about like daggers and quick throw and that kind of thing, and just jump straight to that so we can fit that in as quickly as possible. As far as daggers goes, we know it increases stealth damage, and you explained that it will increase all things related to stealth damage. Would a stronger dagger with higher stealth damage increase quick throw damage, the little Celebrimbor knife throw?
Quick throw. I'm trying to actually think if that's on. I'm having is that on ranged or is that on melee? I actually am not. There is one of the most fun traits you can get is upgrading your quick throw so that it gets a chance to crit. So you get ones that on your quick throw can set guys on fire or can terrify them or can pass through multiple guys. So there's lots of traits that actually make quick throw really kick ass. I just can't exactly remember which weapon category those tend to be on.
Cool. There we go. What kind of things would we see specifically on a dagger, though?
Oh, there we go. It was ranged in SO. I bet it's the same.
Silva?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Telling us our place. That's funny. So, well, what kind of things would we see on a dagger? So, on the quick throw, you could light someone on fire, but what about the actual stabbing part? Or the stealth part?
Yeah, there's more damage, there's state changes, and of course there's earning back different traits. So you might, fill your might bar, fill your wrath, increase the stats. So, and then that really enables you to string together different strategies. So now, for example, if you enter combat, do a brutal stealth kill, build up your might, which will enable you to do an execution, which if you've got lots of focus, will enable you to chain that into another execution. So you can just sort of decimate enemies really effectively.
So if you had a weapon that gave you focus back from an execution, would that work with a chain execution? Or is that... Oh, so you would get focus back every time you...
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. I was going to ask if it was like, well, since it's Celebrimbor, maybe not, but it's okay. Yes. But let's answer questions about Shadow of War before we put Corgi Brimbor back. Let's see. Orc armor from Cure animes. So when you're saying orc armor, orcs have armor. I see that, actually, this is a good opportunity to bring this up. I sometimes will see questions that people will say like, why aren't you responding to these? And it's because we don't know what you mean. So when you say orc armor is just blank, I don't know if you mean that I'm gonna wear orc armor, Talian's gonna wear orc armor, all that kind of thing. So I wanted to make sure to fill that in. So if I catch your question again and you say, can Talian wear orc armor? Then, I mean, that would be a perfect question for Mike. I actually don't know that one. But let's go back to the other one. Goblin Sparrow, what are cursed weapons? Cursed weapons is a special type of status effect, similar to like poison or fire that does cursed damage. If you've ever seen Talion get hit and suddenly the Eye of Sauron pops up over his mini-map and he can't use Celebrimbor abilities, that's an example of curse affecting him. You can use curse on other orcs in the same thing. Can Talion skin an orc and wear it? No. You cannot skin an orc and wear it. People are asking for the Bright Korg. I like that, Bright Korg. That's another good one. Roasty Gibbler, can Talion wear orc armor? I don't, so the thing is, it depends on how you want me to say that, because there are legendary sets related to orc tribes. There's a feral tribe one, there's that kind of thing. So, but you're not wearing the orc's armor specifically, I don't think. So let's see. Ooh, here we go, from Sibwa123. Is it necessary to wear strong armor to survive in the world? I mean, you can make it harder on yourself and not do that. It really depends on your skill level. When I play, I put on new armors because it's really helpful as my opponents get stronger. Talion cannot skin a human Oreo Blizzard. Let's see. What is special about Marauders, the Reaper 33? Are you referring to tribes? Because the Marauder tribe specifically collects, they're all about getting more Mirian. That's kind of their thing. Or just more items and stuff. So they're the Marauders, like a pirate almost. Undying for 42k. Well, what happens when you get cursed and run away? You get uncursed eventually. What do you do outside the stream? I just sit in the stream. I live here. This is my bed. It's just over there off screen. Let's see. I'm just like hitting every one. Will there be difficulty levels? Yes. Hard, normal, easy. Kind of easies for like cinematic. I believe we might even call it something like that. Normal is more of like the Shadow of Mordor experience, without the feeling overpowered towards the end. Maybe it depends on how good you are, I guess. And then hard is for the ultimate nemesis kind of thing. Chronos808, do we have an invisibility cloak? No, but this isn't a thing, kind of. We were actually just talking about it, and it's kind of interesting. Anyway, let's see. Good to have you, Die Raven, OG. You got caught by Automod, but anyway, it's nice to see you. Can you elaborate on the Hype Man orcs, said Jim Jamma. You guys saw the Nemesis video. That's, there you go. That's what they are. I know exactly who you're referring to. Internally, we joked around and called them Hype Men too, which is pretty cute that you guys all jumped on that. Let's see. What level can the Bright Lord get to? King Brank? Are you referring to like Celebrimbor's level? That would be... Oh, you mean Talion's full level. Gotcha. You know, I actually am not 100% sure, so I'm not going to jump on that one yet. Just to cover that one. Let's see. Can you talk a bit about what there is to do in a zone once you have taken its fortress? Croinky Doink. What a great name. Yes, I can. So, a fortress is a certain sector of whatever region that we're in. Within the region, there are collectibles. There are other missions that are like, I mean, the plotters talked about it before too, where there are certain characters that you have like backstories to, like kind of side missions that you can develop with these characters. We haven't gotten into characters too much yet, so I can't really fill you out, or specifically on what fill you in, backward, wrong preposition. Can't really fill you in on specifically what those characters are and what those stories are like. But yes, there are those things where those... Why are you hyping me so hard? I'm getting hyped so much too. I just immediately got stuck in my sentence and what I was trying to say. There are a lot of things to do. Besides the pit fights that he's brought up before, grinding and getting sweet new armor, exploring, flying around on a Drake, doing other collectibles, doing the things that are related to collectibles.
Taking out outpost commanders.
Taking out outpost commanders. Mark, if you want to jump on too, you're welcome to. Yeah, I would just plug you in.
Stream.
Yeah. Mark is off screen, but now that we're just answering questions, I'm going to bring Mark over. He's our dude. So just turn her back on, and then I'll turn you back up there.
All right.
So, let's see. after you conquer a region, is that region free of enemies? No, it's SD way. It's still a place where you can interact with stuff, but it's more like if you attack like an outpost or something, that outpost won't have as many bad guys, and you'll have more of your guys strolling around. Oh, people are all excited to see you. That's really fun. Once you're turned on, I'll turn up your volume.
Well, I'm always. No, that's not good.
I mean, oh man, we've already had.
Now we've already gotten rated mature.
Yeah, rated mature. All right, we got a question from Gotcha12. Can you use Mirian to recruit orcs without branding them? No. That's not how Mirian is special.
Am I hot? Is this thing on?
You're not hot yet. Actually, but you got a moment. There are ways to use Mirian to collect orcs without branding them, but not grunts. We haven't gotten too much into that yet.
I would say no.
So.
I'd say not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. We're not talking about that yet. But that's an interesting thing.
Let's see, will there be care against Richard Crowds? Everybody, I think not to start with, Percy Purple. I believe you've asked that question before, and I'm not sure if it's ever been answered, so there you go. Not to start, I don't believe.
Let's see. Once you conquer a fort...
Does everyone at Monolith have a manly beard?
No.
Only the manliest of them.
There's certainly some of us with beards and some of us without.
Maybe that's a Northwest thing. I don't know.
It's a very Northwest thing. We're in Seattle, so that's a very popular thing. I saw a question about do orcs in fortresses attack you after you conquer it? No, they're your buddies. So yeah.
Yep. Let's see. What do we have on here?
Roasty Gibbler runes on weapons are gone. I mean, they're gone in the way that they were like that. Yeah, but I mean, it's been changed to this. Will there be Uruk's riding Graugs? Not riding, unless you refer to the siege Graug.
Yeah.
Then yes, they're riding that one. But if you mean like you ride a Karagor, you can have a guy summon one, but not like.
Talion can ride a Graug.
Yeah, Talion can ride one.
Yeah,
that's a good way to take people out.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's got a King Kong sort of moment to it.
Totally.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The cloak the other day that we were messing around with.
You want to talk more about the cloak?
Well, it's just because if you're like, is there a Lothlorien cloak?
Mm-hmm.
There's a cloak that allows you to essentially be invisible if you don't move and you're not detected, which is like one of those like mystery men back in the day. I can be invisible as long as no one's looking at me. But this is.
But actually, as long as you started being invisible.
Yes.
That's how that works. Yeah.
So you guys were talking about the commander build, and that is like things like that you can totally do because it's really cool to just be like standing there and orcs don't see you.
Right.
As long as you don't move, but you can still be doing things. I was actually stealth draining from a commanding position.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I saw a question about number of fortresses. We're not going to be talking about the number of fortresses right now.
Yes.
An enjoyable amount. Benrote loves you.
Oh, gosh. Thank you so much. It's good to be loved. Oh, can a fort be taken back from you? We've actually confirmed this a couple different times. That is true. It can be, yes.
Yeah.
That's why, actually, when you take the fort, like Mike was talking about, you can upgrade and keep upgrading with your Mirian, that you want to do that. Because
absolutely.
Your defenses are just as important as your assault force.
Put that down. It'll crinkle a little bit when you're doing that. I play with the mic all the time, and I need to physically put up my hands to remember that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we have you for about 4 more minutes.
True.
And then, so I think that would be a good time to jump off. I am Space Whale. Dogfights on drakes. What a great question.
Yeah, that would be a good. Yeah.
So the thing is if there's another drake in the air, shoot at that. True. Yeah, that one actually that would happen.
Yeah. And that can be done, I think, because there's multiple drakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's but there are not orcs riding drakes. Mike actually brought it up, and the way he put it before was that would be chaos.
That would be chaos.
So that is the one. Let's see. Goblin Sparrow. What is the Machine Tribe? It is a tribe that focuses on. Actually, watch the Nemesis thing from IGN first.
Yeah.
They directly talk about it, but it's like the more industrial guy, like the flamethrower kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Like,
it was talking to Phil. I think like part of that was the Isengard. Like how the trees got all cut down, and it was like it's basically Sauron's war machine. The Machine Tribe came out of that concept. It's pretty cool. It's a cool environment when the Overlord is there, and that's the region's overall look. It's pretty sweet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I got a question kind of for us for fun, which I can't read the name because it's all black, but it looked like Spirit Knight or something like that, which was, is it fun working on the game? To which the answer is, we kind of just get to tell you about the game. That's what we get to do. So I have a great time.
Yeah, it's really cool. It is fun to work on the game. It's fun to be able to play it and see how it's coming along. And Yeah. The hardest part probably is not being able to talk about all the things that we want to talk about.
Man.
Because
eventually, because eventually we'll get to play on stream too, and then that's going to be fantastic.
And then safety's off.
Right. Let's see, I saw Chan131, what happens to gear you don't want? You can crush it into Mirian to use for something else.
Yeah.
I saw a question which is, do all mute orcs have hype men? Mute as in they just don't talk. Not all not talking orcs have hype men.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All hype men work for mute orcs, but not all mute orcs have hype men.
Exactly.
I guess.
Let's see. Are there different types of Drix from Vimentas 120? You can have different, like, styles of beasts. I don't know if Drake specifically, but I know for Graugs and Karagors and, like, Saragost, they're, like, wet. Or they're frost.
There's an elemental, there's an elemental alt or mod basically that they can have, and it sounds so clinical. There is an alt mod, but yeah, I know that environment and elements actually do play a role in the beasts that come through. Drakes, I think actually that's kind of a special case, which is sort of, can't say too much, but yeah, there's fun variety.
See another question, which was what orcs riding Graug in the Lord of the Hunt. Why can't more orcs do that? I don't know. You got to ask the orc educational system. Find out what happened in that process. Yeah. I'll let you catch the last question because it's 3:30 in 30 seconds.
Well, the orcs be singing again. There's some good orc singing that takes place. I had learned a term I had never heard before, I guess, because from our sound guy, Brian, they call them Walla sessions. I didn't know it. It's probably a term. If there's sound people out there, they're like, of course that's what they're called. You didn't know that? But yeah, the Walla sessions, and it's where you actually get a bunch of people together to grunt, which is a lot of fun. And just to see that happening where it's a bunch of, dudes for the most part going, oh, rah, oh, rah, and making the orc trudging. It's fun. Yeah. So
cool. Hit as many more as you want. It is now 3:29, probably going to be 3:30 in moments.
Okay, I will. Gosh, it's funny is I see when this. What is your favorite type of work? I think the trick with that is that there's so many different kinds. And that's not hype. That's the truth. It's hard because like there's the class that you have and you see that, and then you have the tribes, and then you have like how they can level up, and then they get advanced traits as well. And so it's really you're talking about like it's not just one type of orc. It's like what's your favorite nemesis? Really is what you say. Like is that one particular person with that combination of things? You're like no, So yeah, it's hard. I like the ranged ones. I'm just always appreciating how much deeper the system has been, so how many different traits can layer in and have just really bizarre behavior. So it's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for having me.
Totally. It's so I'm going to close out with actually there was one question which were our voices in the game, and the answer to that is actually we were streaming the day that would happen. I was here for you. Right. I could have been in there, but I was
There's a Wallace session. We did that.
We were streaming that day. Anyway, so we're gonna head out. The thing that I think is pretty interesting is actually a bunch of you were asking for a Discord, and I think I might be able to. I can't type that link immediately in.
We can do it in chat.
We can, we can do it. So after this, I'm going to jump to my computer and set up a forum post that will talk about you guys having the opportunity to do any sort of WB testing, because that was a request that I see you guys were interested in. Forum post about the Discord, which is a Discord that is now open for you guys. It's a community-run Discord, so it's actually I hang out there, Mark hangs out there, even some of our directors hang out in there. The thing is that we're not running it, so it's like, if you guys are like, oh, can you change this? I'm not the guy to talk to specifically, but I'm there talking and hanging out.
Yeah, it's cool. There's
Tiger Stripe, thank you, good sir.
Oh, yeah.
That's, so just as Tiger Stripe is one of, and we got more people hitting up with this stuff. Wow, look at all y'all guys doing so good.
Yeah,
thank you.
Awesome.
So those are the main ones. I'm still checking out forums. I'm still checking out tweets. I'm still checking out Discord and subreddit. So keep in contact with me there, and I'll see you guys again next week.
Yep.
Yeah. Y'all are beautiful. Cool.
See ya.
Bye.